Okay, good morning, everybody. This is day 2 of the Make-A-Wish Silver Melting Challenge that was given to me. And this is the day where we are going to take these rounds, or pieces of the rounds, and we will melt them in a crucible. However, before I do that, I noticed a couple of things. The first is step 5. It says ship both bars back to me. And I've been thinking these would be smaller rounds that he wants me to pour, but it looks like Brad would like to have 2 half-ounce bars of silver. That's fine, we can do that, not a problem. I'll just have to remember to pour the silver into the bar section of the mold. The other thing that I thought is that the crucible that I have is big enough so that I could put one of these pieces in there. However, I'm thinking what I'd like to do is cut these in half. So we'll have 4 quarters, and we'll melt those. That way it'll be a little easier, there'll be more surface area, and I can melt one piece, drop the other piece in, and that piece will hit molten silver, and hopefully will melt a little more easily. That's my theory anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring these back over to the vise. I'm going to use the cold chisel, cut this one in half, cut this one in half, and then we'll have smaller pieces that we can bring over to the portable workbench on which I have my silver melting setup. So I'll turn the camera off and we will cut these, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, so here is the round that had a little bit cut off the top. So I'm just going to put this here on the vise, use the smaller cold chisel, and just separate this into 2 pieces. And I don't have to worry about how these look exactly. Just want to break them down a bit. And like I did last time, I'm going to just get to a point where I can cut enough so that they can be bent and snapped. Maybe I'll get some cleaner and try to clean that off. That's just dirt. I probably will do that. Almost there. Okay, that one's definitely ready. That one's getting there as well. Okay, that will be just fine. So I will put these in the vise, I will flex them back and forth and snap them into smaller pieces, and then we should be able to, well, as I said, I'll clean them up. I'll clean them up first before I snap them, and then they should be ready for the crucible. So I'll turn the camera off, and while the camera's off, I'll just break these apart, and I will, well, I'll clean them beforehand. So see you in a little bit. Okay, I don't know if you're interested in this part. If you aren't, just fast forward, I suppose. But here is the round. That's the piece that had the, or the side that had the piece chipped off. And I did clean up the back. They came out actually pretty good. So I'll just put it in the vise. Oh, and the other piece. Oh, came out pretty good as well. So let's do this again. Simple as that. Grab hold of that. There. Yeah, I think that is a better idea. These smaller pieces will melt, I think, a bit more easily than one bigger piece. So I'll do the same thing to the other piece. Separate it. Make sure I keep the two sides separate because there was a little bit of a weight difference. Want to make sure that little piece of silver ends up with the lighter piece of the round. There you go there. Grab this piece. Okay, so I think we're ready for the crucible. Okay, I've moved things over to this side of the garage to melt the silver. And this part of the project, I think, is much more dangerous than cutting the metal because it involves, of course, using a very, very hot flame. In this case, I'm using MAP gas. And MAP gas burns at about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is much hotter than the temperature needed to melt silver. Silver, I think, melts somewhere around 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. So this will work just fine for melting the silver. This equipment I got last year, I tried my hand at melting a little bit of copper, and I had some gold-plated pins that I wanted to melt to see how they would come out. But never really did much more than that. So this has been sitting for a little while, so it's good that I'm able to use this again. What else do I have? Yeah, this is a ceramic crucible. This crucible is made of a material that also has a very high temperature. And I have put some borax in there, and I heated it up with the torch, not today, a while ago. And so this crucible is seasoned. What you want to do is put borax, just that borax like you would use in the laundry. And when it melts, it soaks into the pores of the ceramic and creates a surface so the molten metal can move around more freely in it and can be poured more easily. I have this mold. It's made of graphite, and graphite is a material that has an extremely high temperature, much melting point, much higher than silver. In fact, I don't think graphite melts. I believe graphite sublimes. It goes from being a solid to a gas. So you want a material like that to pour your molten metal into because you don't want anything to happen to the graphite mold. But yeah, this should all work. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. It's all kind of an experiment, but I think it'll work just fine. Now, I won't go into the details now about how to choose the right torch for melting or how to prepare the crucible or what safety equipment you need. There are books and videos and experts that can tell you all about that if you want to learn how to melt silver. Dirt 30 with George is someone who comes to mind. If he doesn't know the answer to your question, I'm sure he knows somebody who will know the answer to your question. But I I want you to know that I'm not doing this without taking proper precautions, and you should certainly do the same thing, especially the proper training. I am not making this video to show anybody how to melt silver. I can't emphasize that enough, okay? So, that being said, let me light the torch, and this is a brand new MAP gas cylinder, so we should be fine there. We should have enough to melt both, and yeah, we'll just go from there. During the process, the torch is going to be kind of loud, so I probably won't be doing a lot of talking during this process, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get this melted. Oh, and by the way, as far as safety equipment, I do have a long sleeve heavy denim shirt on. I'm wearing jeans. I have work boots on. I will be wearing leather gloves. I'm going to put a face shield on as well during this process, so things here are safe. I also have a fire extinguisher nearby and a hose nearby, just in case. So let's get this all started. I'm going to rest this here in the cinder block, and I have this cement brick just to prop it up, and I'll have the crucible up like that just so I don't have to be holding the MAP gas torch. And once this is melted, I probably will take the torch and melt the surface of the metal. We'll see how that goes. Probably going to be difficult to see the flame, but it is on. So, let me get my face shield on, and we'll get to work. Okay, the crucible is hot, so I'm going to take the torch out and put it directly on the silver. And there it goes, you can see it melting on the surface. use it like Australia. So I want one molten pool of silver right in the middle. And now I'm going to heat the mold because I don't want to put hot metal in a cold mold. That could cause thermal shock and cause it to crack. So you can see in the meantime, that's beginning to melt, or that's getting to cool down. That did not exactly work. work either. All right. Actually, I'm going to try this as a round. See if it's any easier. Well, that's a round. Let's see. That is neat. All right, Brad. Well, I think, my friend, you're going to be getting rounds. You're not going to be getting bars. Because that was very, very easy to pour compared to pouring it into that little one. I'm going to try the next one as a bar, okay? And we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to turn the camera off. Actually, I'm going to get the other piece. I can leave this on, I suppose. There we go. Let's try this one while we can. Because really I'm concerned that I have probably used a lot of this propane, this MAW gas cylinder. Not sure how round that one is. Well, let's take a look. Nice ripples, though. Okay, we're back at the scale, and I have 3 pieces of silver here, the 2 rounds, and this little piece was stuck to the edge of the crucible. So I am just curious to see what these weigh, because before we had 15.7 grams each side. So let's take a look at this one. Ooh, 14.29. Okay, well, that's definitely light. And here, I'll do this just to show. The scale is accurate. This is the 1 gram weight. That is coming out as 1 gram. So again, 14.3. That's light. So, and that's 14.9, which is light as well. How much does this piece weigh? 0.7, okay. So if I do that and this, that's 15.1, which is still less than it should be. And that's just about the same weight too, a little bit lighter. So where did the rest of that silver go? Because if this is about 15 and this is about 15, right? So that by itself is about 15, 14.9. And those together are about 15, that's 30. So a gram of silver is missing. I wonder if it is in the edges of the crucible. Maybe I missed something during the pour. I'll double check that. But what I'm going to do is, I wish this one were the heavier one because this one actually looks pretty good. This one looks kind of ugly, but what I'm going to do though is melt those. So I'll at least have a 15 gram piece of silver. I suppose if I have enough MAP gas, I should melt this one again, just because the more I do it, the better I'll be at it. So back to the torch and try remelting these one more time. Piece of concrete, and I don't see anything there that's silver. I looked at the mold, I don't see anything on there that is silver. I do see some little bits of silver in the crucible, and maybe, you know, when they melt and they collect with the other piece of silver, maybe that will come up to the other, the additional missing silver. I tend to doubt it though. So I'm really curious about that. I'm not sure why there would be that much silver missing during the melt. But regardless, I think this tank really is about to be done. I think it's almost depleted, so we'll probably have one more melt. And I'm gonna do that, the lighter piece and the tiny piece that was on the edge of the crucible. So here goes. Start with this little guy. And I think there's a little bit of borax attached to it too. But once the silver melts, it'll just float on top of that oil. And I'm going to try to get the edges of the crucible as well, just in case there's anything there. Little beads low down. Those must be bits of silver that just attached to the side of the crucible. Maybe I didn't glaze it enough there. Maybe I'll use a bit of molten silver, just kind of gobble up those little pieces. And I really can't imagine why else the silver would disappear. Oh, what a messy pour. Apart from that piece. I'm a glutton for punishment. This is definitely amateur hour. That one's much better. Quench that. Yeah. There you go. All right, let's weigh this up and see what kind of measurement we get. Hi everyone. All right, back at the bench. I promise this will be the final weigh-in. Because these rounds, they actually don't look too bad. So there's a 1 gram weight, and it is registering at 1 gram, so that's good. This is the first round, which weighed 14.9 grams, I believe. Yeah, 14.91 grams. And this is the one we just melted or remelted, and I know it's going to come up less than 14.9, and I'll explain why in a moment. Yeah, it comes up at 14.7, so it's 0.2 of a gram less than this round. And the reason is, I knew going into this that this crucible was not the greatest quality. And I really should have done a better job glazing it. You can see right, just from the borax I put in there now, it has a glossy surface. That's what it really should be, so that metal floats on it. But if you look right here, you see little, I don't know what you want to call them, little pieces, little flecks. And I suspect those are tiny pieces, or those contain tiny pieces of silver that have just melted, and instead of collecting at the bottom, they kind of collected towards the top for whatever reason. Well, because my poor melting skills. And yeah, so they're up there. I'd be curious to know if I were to just heat all this up red hot, if that would all collect and create one small button, one small drop of silver. I think it would. But I really think that the reason why this is so low is because the spout is chipped. And right here we see a little bit of borax, but on top of that, right there, that's silver. So I think when I poured that last round, that bit of silver didn't make it into the mold. It just stayed on there and cooled. So I'm not going to remelt it, and I am not going to worry about getting that off. It's really a negligible amount. But what I will do next, Brad, is ship both of these off to you, and you can determine whether or not I met the requirements of the challenge. They're not bars, they're rounds, so I suppose in that sense I did not. But I will send these back to you, and I really appreciate you and Tiny Tornado challenging me with this task. It was a lot of fun. It's the kind of thing I like doing. Even though I'm not very good at it, it was a lot of fun. It's a learning experience, it's practice, and I suppose in time I could get better if I wanted to. And but yeah, it was a lot of fun for an outstanding cause. I hope everybody considers donating to the Make-A-Wish fundraising campaign. They do amazing things for children in need, and it is well worth it. So thank you all very much for watching this long video. I apologize for the length, but I wanted you to see sort of my thought process from the beginning to the end. I really appreciate your watching. I really appreciate your support, and I hope that I will see you all online very, very soon. Have a great day, be good, and be safe.